This football team that everyone insists is just the worst that they've ever seen. Shows you how good you've had it around here. It's not as bad as you think it really is. It's been frustrating, but I'm going to tell you right now, they're 4 plays away from being a 10-win team. If all 4 of these plays either directly led to the score that turned into the margin of difference in the game or preceded the play that turned into the score that was the difference of the game, or in one instance, eliminated the 49ers' chances to create the score they needed to get back in the game. And here they are. Don't let special teams give up a big return in LA all the way back in the beginning of this year. There's your first win of the season right there. Oh, no, wait, it's worse than that. You got to go back to week 2. Again, this is why you can't just slide into a season and let holdouts have everybody a little slow and a little off kilter early on in the year. That 97-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson, that was week 2. If Justin Jefferson doesn't take it to the house for 97 yards, that game is a 49er win. Again, had they not given up the huge return before LA kicked the game-winning field goal in week 3, that game is a win. Had Brock not gotten picked off late against LA on Thursday, and this is the biggest stretch of all of these, because Brock would then need to still score a touchdown or a field goal. And then, but when he threw that interception, that snuffed that game out right there. Had he not thrown that interception, that game could have been a win. And had Devondre Campbell not given up a 50-plus yard run to Kyler Murray on the very first play of that Arizona Cardinals game at Levi Stadium, all the way back at the beginning of the year as well, that's the difference in that game. That 7 points that Kyler scored right there is the difference in that game. That was a 1-point game, for goodness sakes. 4 plays away from being a 10-win football team. And if this were a 10-win football team, they'd be on top of the NFC West, and everything would feel and look a lot different. Again, 4 plays away. 4. That's it. But Damon, they didn't make those plays. Well, thanks, Sherlock. I got it. But for those who really want to say, I am looking at a bonfire of a competence, and we are the equivalent of both New York football teams. We might as well be the Dan Snyder Redskins. We are freaking comically inept at winning football. Some of you need to stop trying to win Oscars with every single post you put on people's YouTube chats. Like, there's some seriously, some real drama students doubling as 49er fans. Again, football isn't for everyone. It's been propped up that everyone is going to like this, but I've seen with my own firsthand eyes that not a lot of people are ready to deal with the weekly stress that football puts on them. These games all matter. That's why every single one of them counts. It's why every single one of them gets a big rating. They matter. And unfortunately, the 49ers didn't matter enough on a small handful of plays to where the entire season has been turned around. Now, let me tell you, when you are in your 5th running back, and that's where they are, right? There's Elijah Mitchell, done for the year. Christian McCaffrey, done for the year. Jordan Mason, done for the year. Garendo, hurt this week, so you're on your 5th running back. So right there, anything you get out of your running game is by definition gravy when you're that deep into your depth chart. We know how bad of a year it's been for this team's wide receivers, either with the Ayuk injury or the Deebo slowdown or the Ricky Pearsall never really showed up to help that much in the first place rookie year that he's put in front of us, with Jacob Cowing getting no snaps basically from the line of scrimmage. That's been a little disappointing for sure. But with all of that going wrong, with injuries to Trent Williams, with injuries to Nick Bosa, with season-ending injuries up and down the lineup, with nicks and dings persisting all year, with Fred Warner playing on broken ankles, with all of the things that have happened to the 49ers this year, they shouldn't be 4 plays away from being a 10-win team. They should be buried. They're not. They're in last place in their own division, but they're not buried. Everything that happened to the Niners this season equaled. You're not going to be. Damon's never going to do one of those. This is how close you were and how close you could be to being good again shows. If they were that bad, I wouldn't do this. What do I get out of being a content creator who would be lying to you? Although several content creators with much bigger audiences, because they've gotten head starts on me in this space, have lied to you about how bad this all is and how incompetent it all is and how for anything positive to ever happen to this franchise again, Kyle Shanahan's got to go. He's not going anywhere, and he shouldn't either. Guess what? He ain't perfect. He's a good coach. To even suggest anything otherwise, that he doesn't meet the definition of good coach, means you just don't know what it is we do here. You are clueless. You are the most single, just bought the ticket, been watching for 5 minute casual level of football fan there is, if that's who you are. Does Kyle do things that upset you? Does Kyle let down in big games, unfortunately? Does Kyle have a defense that doesn't make the tackle on 4th down that would have won the fucking Super Bowl? Yes. That's him, but he's pretty damn good at the job. He really is. I think even more proof that he is good at the job and the 49ers offensive struggles this year, directly relating to their red zone struggles this year, which is the only reason why they haven't scored the 40-ish more touchdowns this year than they did last year. Again, you subtract 40 touchdowns from any team season over season, what are they going to look like? Why were those touchdowns subtracted? Is it because Kyle doesn't know how to call a play? Look, it's been a challenging year. We all know that. We've seen it with our own 2 eyes. Again, the coach's version of writer's block is the best way I could go about explaining why the team is stalled and looked bad at times. It's been a very frustrating year. Deebo became utterly useless overnight. Brandon Aiyuk, until he vanished with an injury, might as well have had an injury because he did so little before he tore his knee apart. Ricky Pearsall, again, hasn't shown us anything. Outside of Juwan Jennings and George Kittle, nobody showed up to play with Brock Purdy this year. And Brock, I saw this today in the Chronicle. Eric Branch had this one. He was looking at Brock's year, breaking down the numbers, where things went wrong. Everyone's doing their when things went wrong evaluation of what's going on with the Niners right now. Brock's numbers throwing against zone defenses are essentially identical. It is against man-to-man where his numbers have fallen off the cliff. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think that that's Brock's fault? When we know for a fact Deebo sucks, Ayuk vanished, Jennings is slow, we love him, but, Pearsall's done nothing, Cowing's done nothing. No one has stepped up into the void left by this team's 2 best wide receivers, and that's why this isn't happening. It's not Brock. It's the wide receivers who cannot separate. But the offensive line has been, again, it's been good enough to get the job done. Is it great? Is it devastating? Is it awesome? Can you set your watch by it? No, but it gets the job done more than it fails on the job. The defensive line, again, it's been maddening watching them miss so many freaking tackles all year long. They still got a decent DVOA defensively. Special teams has been the bane of the entire year, along with a wide receiver group, which collectively has earned the letter grade of F. The 49ers wide receivers have failed this season, and if you're looking for the failure, I don't think you really have to get more imaginative than just saying Deebo and Brandon Ayuk fucked this whole thing up. They did. They really did. So if you're telling me 2 guys fucked the whole thing up, and now you're going to get an offseason to correct that and get better in other places, I'm telling you that the music's not going to stop for the San Francisco 49ers. This is not an incompetent, poorly run, poorly coached, poorly built organization. They're a bad team, they're a good team that had a bad year. Funny year from Shanahan, funny year for the players. We've got a level of infant mortality coming out of the 49ers locker room that was incredibly disturbing and jarring and has to affect the way guys operate in a gladiator sport. You're watching your friends bury their children. That's got to stay with everyone a little. Weird, weird, weird. Underline it twice, italicize it, year for the 49ers. You know, I know that people want to get accusatory and just Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley. And look, neither were particularly impressive, but I don't know if Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley were as bad this season as Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk were. So I'm going to ask you to exercise a little restraint and a little caution before you start throwing your fandom out with the bathwater that is this 2024 season. I really hope that the 49ers lose their next 3 games, improve their draft position. Let's just get the hell out of this year and start looking towards next year through the prism of the draft and free agency. And when it comes time to re-signing your own players, don't twiddle your fucking thumbs anymore, San Francisco 49ers. Get it done. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.